All right, now we're doing 8Q, difference of volumes of cuboids. This is by Spherixo, and 93% of people like it. So in this simple exercise, we will create a program that will take two lists of integers, a and b. Each list will consist of three positive integers above 0, representing the dimensions of cuboids a and b. All right, so we must find the difference of the cuboids' volumes, regardless of which is bigger. Okay. So, for example, if the parameters passed are these, the volume of A is 12 and the volume of B is 20, therefore the function should return 8. Gotcha. Alright, so our return function will be tested with pre-made examples as well as random ones. Alright, and if we can, we're going to try to do a one-liner. Alright, well, first off, let's do it in the non-one-liner style, just so we can get a good idea of what we're trying to accomplish, all right? So basically what it looks like to me is we're going to have to multiply each one of these elements in each one of these arrays, then subtract this one from this one or this one from this one, whichever one we want, and then find the absolute value of that, which will be this, because maybe this is going to be lower one time, maybe this is going to be higher. Regardless, we need to get the absolute value. All right, so let's declare a variable first. Let's get that difference made into a variable. So let's say let diff equal, and then we'll say a at 0, times a at 1 times a at 2. All right, so now let's get this, copy it, put minus, space, paste it, and then let's turn these a's into b's. All right, and that, let's do a console.log diff, console.log diff, test it out. All right, we got 14. We're looking for 14. All right, so now we got to find the absolute value, just in case these two were switched and it was a negative number. So let's do an if statement. Say if diff is less than 0. So if it's negative, we'll say negative diff. Return negative diff. That's not negative. Negative diff. And then we'll say down here, return diff. All right, test it out. There we go. Let's attempt it. Okay, awesome. It's good. Now we know basically what we're trying to do. So let's turn this into a one-liner somehow. All right, so let's come up here. Let's do a slash and a star, and then a control end, and then a star and another slash, and then a control home and an enter. Let's say const find difference, and then we're going to say equals parentheses a comma b, and then we're going to have an arrow like this. All right, one thing we can do with anything, we could have even done it in here, is we can declare variables inside of the arguments, parentheses or group or whatever you want to call this thing. So we can just say right here diff equals, but see, I don't want to do all this nonsense with the a and b. That's a lot, like this, that's a lot of typing. So luckily there's this thing that we can do called destructuring assignment syntax, which is a JavaScript expression that makes it possible to unpack values from arrays or properties from objects into distinct variables. So because these are coming in as arrays, we can just do something like this. All right, we can say a comma b comma c. Whoops, it could have been v, but it doesn't matter anyway. And then we can say inside this set of brackets d comma e comma f, like that. And we'll just say diff equals a times b times c minus d times e times f. All right, and now we got that. So let's do a console.log down here. Let's say since we're running out of room, console.log, and then we'll go like this and say diff, just to make sure the thing's doing what we want. 14, 14, just like before. So now we're going to do, and we'll just bring it down here. It's still technically a one-liner. Excuses. Anyway, whatever. So now we're going to do something just like this, except for we're going to do it one-liner style, which would look something like this. Diff, like this, and then if diff is less than 0, we'll say negative diff. And, oops, not like that. We'll say this. And then we'll say diff. All right. Now, what's this? What is this, if you don't know? All right. This thing's called the ternary operator. And the ternary operator is the only JavaScript operator that takes 3 operands, a condition followed by a question mark, then an expression to execute if the condition is truthy followed by a colon, and finally the expression to execute if the condition is falsy. And this operator is frequently used as an alternative to an if-else statement, all right? So basically, this is the condition. If diff is less than 0, here's the question mark, and this is the expression to execute if this is truthy, all right? So we're going to return negative diff, and if it's falsy, we're going to return diff. Let's see if that's a thing. And it works, all right. But you know what? We can do something else. There's something else we can do. We can come over here and we can say something like this. Using this math.abs static method. We can just go like this and it'll take care of it. But before I show you, before I prove it, let me tell you about math.abs if you don't know. The math.abs static method returns the absolute value of a number. So that's it. It's just an absolute value function method kind of thing. So let's check this out. Looks good, looks awesome. But you know what? We can make this even more concise. Okay, let's get rid of this because right now we don't need to repeat ourselves. Let's take this, Control X on that. Let's go right like this. Let's throw this in here. Let's take this and move it in right there. And look at that. Test it out. Now we got a one-liner. Attempt it. Looks good. All right, now I'm going to copy this. All right. We're going to go back in time all the way to here. And now I'm going to do a like that and an end and a like that and bring this one up here. And now we've got 3 different ways to do the same thing. And there's more ways to do it too. There's definitely more. We'll see in just a second. We could have done it with the reduce method, which is, that's a lot more typing than I'm looking for in a one-liner. If we could shorten that one-liner up a little bit. But basically they're just doing the reduce method, which means they're multiplying the current value, whatever's the current value in the array, and times the previous value. And the previous value in this case will be what's at array 0, and the current value is 1, and then 2, all multiplied together. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Here's one of the ways we did it. No, well, that's a different way. Anyway, and then here's the rest of them. We can go over to mine just like this. There we go. Best practice in my opinion. Very much like it. And we'll see you next time.